guys know what AEC stands for? The AEC stands for the ASEAN Economic Community. It involves the economic integration of 10 ASEAN countries, including Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. The AEC is one of the 3 pillars of ASEAN Community. The other 2 pillars are the ASEAN Political Security Community and the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community. It covers the liberalization and facilitation of capital movement, labor movement, the harmonization of custom regulations, standards for goods, and economic policies among ASEAN countries. In order to achieve its goal, ASEAN created the AEC Blueprint to serve as master plan for the implementation of the AEC outlining targets and timelines for specific reforms. The AEC Blueprint consists of 4 pillars. Pillar 1, Single Market and Production Base. Pillar 2, Competitive Economic Region. Pillar 3, Equitable Economic Development. Pillar 4, Integration into Globalized Economy. The blueprint aims to improve the economy of ASEAN by using the method of compromisation, which is basically the 4 pillars mentioned.
In the first pillar, there is a one-price law which aims to remove all restrictions, regulations, and policies on goods and services by applying 2 measures, which are at the border measure and beyond the border measure. The purpose of the former is to remove any restrictions on cross-border goods and services, while the latter intends to eradicate regulations and policies on goods in the country.
In the second pillar, Competitive Economic Region encouraged compromisation among ASEAN's members by laying foundation for competition policy, consumer protection, and intellectual property rights.
The competitive laws help lower production costs, increase consumer welfare, improve technological innovation of ASEAN member states, prevent administrative barriers, and impose anti-dumping duties.
Additionally, there are other research which support the idea of compromisation.
The first one, financial integration. Financial integration brought important benefits to ASEAN countries. The integration increased direct investment, deepened cross-border banking linkages, and increased foreign participation in ASEAN capital markets.
If the ASEAN continue to build a greater integrated financial service system, it can pull large amount of capital into ASEAN, gradually increase the global interest rates, and also help reduce poverty. Moreover, ASEAN integration could raise economic welfare of ASEAN member states by 5.3%, which is 7 times more than the effect of completing a loan.
The integration could also create stronger links with the rest of the world, which would more than double to gain to 11.6%, and a stronger regional economy could help improve the standard of living of the ASEAN population.
Furthermore, AEC integration could help boost economic stability, labor force expansion, and productivity improvements have driven GDP growth in the ASEAN region. And GDP per capita across the region have increased due to economic growth and trade expansion. On the other hand, some argue that AEC Blueprint has created more competition rather than compromise by giving the following reasons. The first argument is that single market and production base induce competition among members. By adopting the first pillar, trade costs vary across ASEAN member states due to uneven infrastructure. In addition, this pillar also established barriers on trade, investment, and factor flows beyond border.
The second argument contends that the competitive economic region was actually meant to be compromised, but in fact, it is competitive. Countries without competitive laws could be affected due to the restrictive business practice of dominant domestic firms located in a country with competitive laws, such as limit pricing and predatory pricing. While countries with weaker policy are faced with higher compliance costs compared to a domestic firm in a country with stronger competition law.
As a result, the welfare of consumers in ASEAN member states could also be adversely affected.
The third argument is that AAC aims to foster competitive laws, but due to the different domestic legislations, member states have prioritized their national interest and stability over ASEAN collective interest. As evident by the fact that there are some exemptions on economic activities. For instance, the Competition Act is not applied on all aspects for Singapore's economy.
Fourth, ASEAN members are having different levels of economic development, since the integration of AEC would create a large market which has a high competition. Countries with low ability of production and low technology might face high risk. If a country cannot produce goods to serve all the people demand or produce goods with higher costs related to other members, that country might have to import goods and become a market of other countries.
Moreover, as almost all of ASEAN agreements were based on the ASEAN Way, which states that each member cannot interfere in the internal affairs of other member states. The AEC blueprint lacks institutional mechanism that would ensure compliance with agreements and that would facilitate the economic affairs of the region.
And because it is hard for ASEAN members to have standard system and structures, since different countries have different ways of practice. In the end, the principles of non-interference serve as the barriers of integrations. For the next part of our presentation is the opinion from the insider of ASEAN Association of Thailand to the question, is AAC a compromise, a competition among member countries in your opinion? The interview was on 30th June 2016. The opinion is, in practice, ASEAN are compromise, but in reality, it is competition, because of three following reasons.
Firstly, unlike EU, with the proportion of contribution were determined by the size of their economy, the AMS contribution are exactly the same. For example, Germany contributes with higher proportion more than Greece. However, for ASEAN, Singapore, which is the richest country among ASEAN members, contributes with the same proportion as Cambodia, which has smallest income.
Secondly, there is no strict penalties to regulate country which fail to meet commitment. Since AEC has flexible regulations, if one country failed to meet commitment within deadline, it could be postponed to the next period. Whereas in the EU, if such failure of performance occur, that country will have to receive penalty. And lastly, there is no real free flow of labor among the ASEAN member states as claimed. There are only 8 professional services that can move freely. The list are medical doctor, dentist, nurse, engineer, architect, accountant, surveyor, and tourism professional. But the movement must also be subject to domestic regulations or MRAs. For example, in Thailand, foreign professionals must take the written exam in Thai language to get license of nurse, dentist, and medical doctor. Furthermore, there are 37 jobs that are prohibited for foreigners to work in Thailand. Here are some of them: tour guiding, cutting precious stones, hair cutting, beautification, and hand weaving.
At first glance, the blueprint seems to be a perfect plan for ASEAN by promoting compromising among ASEAN's members. However, in fact, the blueprint is full of loopholes, which leads to inequality and competitiveness between each country. It leads to ASEAN to a place where developing countries have to use the method of competing rather than compromising for the survival of their economies.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through, that I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch.